Hello, and welcome to another edition of Analyst Conversation, where we break down the stories shaping our nation with insight, context, and informed analysis. I'm your host, Jemima Diamond D, and today we'll be discussing major issues marking headlines across Nigeria, the ongoing PFIPC Saga, and the questions it raises, the disturbing case of the 20-year-old rape incident in Asaba and its implications for justice and public safety, the release of the Oyo students, including what the development means, and the conversations it has sparked. Joining us to unpack these issues is our guest, a notable journalist and public affairs analyst, Mr. Bode Gbadebo. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Jemima. It's nice being here today again.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Analyst Conversation, and welcome to our analyst today, Mr. Bode Gbadebo. Good day, sir.
Thank you.
Today we should begin with arguably the best news we've received this week, the return of the Oyo students. All the students and teachers abducted from the 3 schools in Oyo State were rescued after spending around 56 days in captivity, with security agencies arresting suspects and reportedly neutralizing some kidnappers. What do you have to say about this victory?
Well, it's heartwarming that majority of the Oriire kidnapped victims, were able to be rescued back home, even though not all of them. Remember, 2 teachers died in the course of the attack.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, but the kids were all accounted for. 2 teachers, their families are still mourning as we speak. Even the ones rescued are still nursing their wounds. It was a traumatized experience. So they will need a lot of time to heal. So it was heartwarming that majority of the victims actually returned back home with minimal casualty. Remember too, the security forces who helped to rescue them, a senior military officer died in the course of the operation. So we thank God that we were able to achieve this. All the security forces through the government intervention at all levels, we were able to achieve that. So what's important now is the rehabilitation of the victims, and we also ensure that this does not happen again.
Of course, and we pray so. Now, during the discourse and when the news first was released, there were many commentators who had doubts about how the situation unfolded. Some mentioned that the way the news was presented and the possible lack of details in some areas, for instance, where the victims were recovered from and other aspects of the operation were not really disclosed. And this caused many viewers to doubt how the things really unfolded. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I don't know what's the doubt all about. What's important is life. Lives were threatened, and we were able to recover back the lives, So any other thing, aftermath is unnecessary to me. Even though, yes, the government needs to come clean about, talking about transparency, accountability, but you know how government works. Most of these details, they will never tell you. But for me, the question I will ask myself is this important to me? Is details important to me?
You don't feel the public
No, for posterity,
should have those
yeah, it's
details?
important. In other climes, you get to see all these things. They tell you the timelines, what is involved, how the operation was carried out from beginning to the end, and how eventually they are able to rescue the victim. But since that's not our style, I think it should be inconsequential at this stage. What is important is the lives of those victims. Thank God we have them back home. So that's what's important to me as we speak. There are politics dogging the whole thing. But for me, talking about them is unnecessary. Time wasting. Yeah, people ask, why was Aso Rock was the one who announced the release of the children? Why not the Oyo State government? In fact, as at the time of when the rescue was announced, Oyo State governor was out of the state, was somewhere. apparently oblivious of what was happening until Abuja announced it. And it took him hours to fly back to Oyo, to meet with the victims in the hospital. Then 48 hours later, after, medical care was provided, before they were now released to him, or he was granted access to see them. Then later, they were taken back to their native Ogbomoso so that they can be united with their families. So, for me, those are the important things. These guys are back home. So, any other thing, insinuations, speculations, is unnecessary for now.
But do you think the fact that the public has these doubts at all says something about the relationship between citizens and the government so far?
No, you don't blame the government, you don't blame the people or the citizens for having doubts, for asking questions, for raising posers. These are ordinarily normal things. There shouldn't be void in terms of information dissemination and management. But since there is void, since there is a vacuum, there is bound to be speculations. There are bound to be even fake news, because there are no credible information provided as at when due. But let me reiterate to you again. Since we have achieved our aim, the ultimate aim was rescuing those kids unhurt and the teachers. And the government was able to bring them back unhurt. It's accounted for majority of them with just minimal casualties, 2 persons, dead. Let's thank God. Let's move on.
Well, I do see your point of view there. But facing the release itself, now there was a video that circulated where the children and the teachers were faced with cameras and they were asked to thank the president for probably facilitating this release taking place. Do you feel that was a correct approach, especially considering the psychological state and the harm, if not physical, otherwise that these people might have gone through during those days? Do you think that was the best approach and the best thing to have been done at that point?
It was very, very bad. A very, very bad publicity stunt. In fact, that was the first thing that drew my attention to the whole thing. Yes, when I saw the news that they were being rescued, I was happy. A moment later, I saw that video. I knew something was wrong. And I don't want to believe our gallant security people were responsible for that.
Who would you say was?
No, I don't even want to believe they were responsible for coaching that principal to say that at that moment, right inside the forest. In Yoruba, there is this Yoruba saying that says, whenever you are in detention or you are in captivity, you don't know your supporter outside. So, these victims were in captivity for over 50 days, 56 days precisely, and the day they were rescued, they were already thanking the president. So who told them it was the president that directly facilitated their release? Why not Oyo State Governor? Why not Commissioner for Police? Why not DSS Director in the state? Or any other politician, But some person did that to score political points. They were rescued. They had not even bothered the boss to take them out of the forest. I want to believe they were still in danger. Anything could have happened in that forest.
Absolutely.
But somebody must have informed that woman to make that video. Or I say this, thank the president for making this happen. It's quite unfortunate. Because it was unnecessary. And for me, it took away all the credit they ought to have naturally, gotten. Because it was a failure of leadership in the first place that led to the kidnapping, Kidnapping them was a failure of everything leadership. Whether intelligence, whether security, whatever. It was a failure. Then you made a mistake. You rectify your mistake or you made amendment, you made correction. And before you were able to make correction, you subjected victims to torture, trauma, and all that. But the same victims were asked or coerced to thank you for correcting your mistake. It's a kind of contradiction.
Absolutely.
absurdity of some sort. So it was unnecessary. A bad publicity stunt on the part of the government. Whoever was responsible, he didn't do well at all. He capitalized on the suffering of those innocent people to score a political point. And that's Nigeria for you. It has happened before. It just happened again last Friday. And it will happen again tomorrow. It's our way.
Well, it is unfortunate that that was the way that things rounded up.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of the government attempting to remedy the situation, the Senate has approved 50 million naira to be released to the families of those affected by the abduction. And people are speculating about how this money will be disseminated to victims and how the government plans to ensure that it gets to them completely and on time. What do you think about that?
No, there's no big deal about that. Government has been making pledges or making donations before.
Do you feel like this amount is commensurate to the situation?
No, so that's the issue now. Maybe we're talking about the amount of the money. Yeah, I would say it's inadequate. But talking about how it should be disbursed, that's their own cup of tea. They made the donation. They should know the right channel to get the money to the right persons. And I don't want to believe that 50 million naira was for the whole 40-something victims. Of course, on the average, how much would they get? I think the donation from the Senate 50 million naira
yes, it was for the school.
Deceased teacher's family, I want to believe, or something. But it can't be for the whole kids, because the whole victims were about 40-something. So when you talk about 50 million, what are you talking about? If they want to share the money, per person. So it's inadequate. But maybe for the families of the deceased victims, for them to cushion the
loss,
impact or the loss of their loved ones. So they know the right channel to get the money disbursed.
Do you believe that citizens are correct in having doubts because of how public funds have previously been disseminated to individuals deserving of their funds?
So you don't even know whether this was a public fund or private fund. It could be money from their personal pockets. It's just a show of, a sympathy. And if it's public fund too, no big deal. It's normal. They have provision for all these things in their budget to contribute to charity, good causes. So it's no big deal. But I know you are concerned about fairness, possibly, and accountability. How the money will get to the right persons. So this amount we're talking about is very, very meager. It's very, very small. So I don't believe anyone will want to tamper with it. It's a very small money. I didn't mean we're talking about 500 million naira now, 300 million naira. We might actually justifiably nurse the fear that the money might end in the wrong hands. But since the money is not much, I will believe the money will go to the right people.
Well, we do hope so. And does this rescue increase hopes for other families in other states who have been affected by kidnappings, that security officials are doing better or they have improved their tactics, and which means that other states can expect positive outturns too?
Of course, I have said this somewhere a few days ago that the kind of intelligence-led operation we saw in Oyo State is what we actually expect to be seen in Kwara case, but no case. In fact, just yesterday, I think, the Kogi State government announced the rescue of some student writing Waye Koneko kidnapped somewhere in Kogi State. So we hope to see this kind of thing so that there will be less casualties. We have our people back home on hot. It's a very commendable approach by security forces.
That is true. Now, moving on to another topic, Mary Habila, who was a physiotherapist who worked with the Minister of Works and his family for 3 years, was found dead in her room. And there's a lot of speculation going around about the circumstances surrounding her death, especially since she was said to be unwell before that point, and the fact that her death was only known to the public days after the fact. What do you think about this story?
Well, I don't know what to even say, because I've seen the matter. I don't know who is Mary Habila. I only came across a matter on social media. Now, I think as we speak, her death is the subject of investigation
It is.
by the police. So, and we've been hearing conflicting, accounts or reports about whether our family wanted autopsy to be carried out or not. If there is no autopsy, you can't get to the root of the matter. Now, if the family is saying, no, don't investigate, just give us the body of our daughter, let's bury her, we want to move on, then that's the end. So, who are we? What do we do? We can't do anything with the helpless. We can't know the root cause. And we continue to speculate. You continue to accuse somebody wrongly. You continue to peddle fake news. Now, one person has been, fingered in the whole thing. That's the Minister for Works,
Mr. David Umahi.
Senator David Umahi. And I don't know why that is happening too. Is it because she was working for him? Is it because he's a politician? Oh, since he's a politician, he must go down with this case. No, we don't do things like that. By politicizing the case, we will never know the truth. And that has been the problem with justice administration in Nigeria. When things happen, emotions will always run high. And when there are emotions, sentiments, it will becloud judgment, the right sense of judgment. When it beclouds judgment, then you don't get to the root of the matter, you don't get the truth. Then, before you know it, the whole thing will be muddled up, you go to the next chapter. Another case will happen.
But do you believe that the reason why people might stress for transparency with important officials is because there is a tendency for such issues to be probably brushed under the rug? That ordinary citizens feel like they do not really stand a chance against high-ranking officials?
We should not make any claim where there is none. Do we have a complainant in this case? Is Mary Abila's family raising issue about foul play? We are all human beings. All of us will die one day, somehow, somewhere. We don't even know how. We don't know where. This lady was working with the minister, you said, for 3 years. The family was aware. I don't know the kind of job she was doing with the minister. Nobody had ever raised anything about the victim working with the minister from Ebonyi to Abuja, always moving together, until this happened now. Is there any complaint? If there are complaints, the complaint should be investigated. If there are no complaints, then we have to move on.
But you don't find it suspicious that the minister himself would push for an autopsy despite the family not wanting one? And why do you think the family would not want one, despite these supposed mysterious circumstances?
So that's what we should be interested in. Why would the family do that? Is it within their right to do that? So we establish all these facts, we act on them. Not speculation, not wrong accusation on social media. Just because somebody is there at the center of it and we don't like the person. Was David Umahi present as at the death of the woman? No, all those things, because he's a politician. I don't like all those things, because anybody could be a victim. Today is somebody, tomorrow it might be you or I. So we have to be very, very careful. A lot of people are suffering the same thing. Nobody's talking about them because they are not politicians. So we should get our facts right before acting.
So you believe the current public perception is driven largely by
Sentiment.
Yes, by sentiment towards the Minister of Works.
David Umahi, I want to believe that. But if there are claims, evidence of foul playing, of course, you need to answer. Was he connected in any way? How? He has to answer. If it's not, so we don't just jump, into the arena because politics is involved, politicians is involved, all this sentiment about 2017. Oh, if you are to be Peter Obi now, if you are to be Atiku now, will it be the same thing? All those things, they will cloud our good sense of judgment, and we'll never get the truth. The police too should be up and doing. That girl, or that young woman, what killed her? Was it normal circumstances? Was there anything abnormal? The police should do it independently, unhindered. But Nigeria, there have always been underhand dealings in things. And that's why people too do what they are doing, because they know truth will never surface. So people want to drag people into it by force. People want to speculate. People want to peddle fake news. But then, at the expense of the justice that the victim might get, we don't even care whether the victim gets justice or not. So we should be interested about the victim getting justice. And how does the victim get justice? The right way, right approach, doing the right thing. Is there foul play? What are the issues? What appropriate authority should delve into this to get to the roots of the matter? Indictment. You indict the right people. Put them on trial. Let justice be served. That's all. But politics, then everything will be killed. Then at the end of the day, we waste time, there won't be justice for the victims or victim.
We do hope that due process is observed in this matter.
For justice to be served, ultimately.
For the victim.
For the victim, yes.
Okay. Coming to the next topic, we have a popular content creator, popularly known as Odogo of Asaba. He has been arrested for the murder of a young lady who supposedly he lured to his abode with claims of teaching her content creation, which is his profession. And it was said that he sexually assaulted her, and that due to the trauma of this, based on videos that were released online, she actually ingested toxic substances. And it's believed that he has expressed zero remorse about the case up to this point. What do you believe really took place? And do you think that in cases where people do not even express remorse, that it's correct for their fans to come online and attempt to change the narrative or to paint them as innocent?
I don't even know what kind of remorse will somebody express after committing a crime. If you commit any crime, you have to face the music. Remorse or no remorse. Remorse should be for mistakes. Mistakes. Unintentional, not when a crime, a grievous one has been committed and you talk about remorse. So if you talk about remorse on social media, it means all of us are making content with people's lives. And the Odogu, what do you call him? Odogu of Asaba case. I think I saw it 2 days ago. I read this in the news. Then I watched the video. Someone posted a video of the young girl before she died, narrating
her experience.
Her experience in Warri. Was it Warri?
Delta State.
Yeah. Well, she traveled to Warri from Asaba. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
To meet with she traveled from somewhere in Delta to Asaba to meet with the guy. Yeah. And what happened and what she intended to do to herself. And she even told us in that video by the time we'll be watching the video, she will be no more. Very sad story. So it's very, very sad. Then now this morning before I came here, I also saw prior videos of the Odogo of Asaba. Not about the case, but about women. Those videos I saw, someone also posted, I think someone posted one, another person posted another I saw. It's in the name of content creation, actually depicted
him in a very negative light.
His personality about women. So it's unfortunate that no one ever took notice of that.
Do you think it is possible that it's a coincidence, and as you said, his content is nothing but that?
It can't be a coincidence. He was indirectly revealing the kind of person he was. But because we are too busy with mundane things, nobody took note of those things until the unpleasant happened. So this case now should serve as an eye-opener. That you need to screen people very well. What people are posting is a reflection of who they are. Their bio is a reflection of who they are. Nobody will say, oh no, I'm just making content, I'm just pretending. There is this skit maker called DJ Chicken. As we speak, he's in detention in Lagos, somewhere in Lagos. So, because he made, a skit, he made video playfully saying he will kill the son of the president, Sheyi Tinubu. Police acted immediately. He's in detention. Do you understand? But do you know, if he had made that video saying he will kill someone unknown, nothing will happen. So that tells you about priorities. And that tells you about our contradiction as a people, as a society. Unimportant things are attended to. The important ones, we lose the impulse of them. So when the unpleasant now happen, we now be shouting, we be lamenting. The death of that girl, young girl, was avoidable. But because we're not a serious people.
And what do you think, too, of the fan base?
Let me finish. Before you move to the next question. That's on the part of law enforcement, the society at large. Then on the part of the family front, a lot is also wrong. The family bond, family values are being eroded quickly because a young girl needed money, big money. I don't know for what. She couldn't confide in her siblings. She couldn't confide in her parents. She had to go to social media to talk to an unknown person. Known via social media, but someone she had never met. Then the person now said, I will help you. So if you help me at all, I think you just say, send your account number, then you send me money. Then I'll come back to that social media and mention your name and thank you. But now the practice is, come over to my place.
But he was alleged to also be helping her with a career that they were both interested in.
What career? What career? Remotely before.
The content creation
Remotely
training.
before? Remotely.
Well, according to the story, she was meant to go over to his place to
learn for how many days?
That.
For the weekend only, to learn about her career for the weekend?
This seems
for
unclear,
6 months course? 2 months course? Come on. We have a problem. And the reason why we are not overcoming our problem is this, we try to window dress issues. We try to justify issues. This is a person with sisters, brothers, father, mother. If I need money, I will tell people close to me I need money. But look at how the whole thing ended. Not justifying the crime, I'm just telling you the problem we have with family values too. So we need to fix a lot of things. Law enforcement, crime detections, everything zero. Family values zero. Then we are in a problem. We are in a serious mess.
What do you have to say about the fan bases of such individuals? And why do you feel that when it comes to the wealthy or the important, that people are very willing to overlook such cases, overlook accusations rather, and support those they support?
Now, I have spoken about that earlier when you talk about the Mary Abila case. That sentiments, sentiments and, emotions and the rest of them. They don't allow us to get to root causes of every issue. They becloud our sense of judgment and eventually we are the losers. The society is the loser because we don't get to know the truth of the matter because of the mob mentality. People will jump into the arena and be shouting, oh no, he's guilty. Oh no, he's not guilty. Oh, he's a good person. Oh, she's a good person. Oh, he has been helping the poor before. Don't touch him. Oh, you are doing this because he's a Christian. Oh, you are doing this because he's a Muslim. Oh, you are doing this because he's an APC member. You know, all those things. So the mob mentality is also a problem.
Do you believe the public should more often hold on for official records to be released?
Of course, but in the absence of official intervention, timely intervention, there's bound to be all these things. When the official intervention is not firm, when it is not timely, when it is not decisive, there's bound to be all this.
Do you believe there are cases too where probably social media speculation does lead to more action on the part of the police?
Yes, at times. There are times that even in social media agitation that will push law enforcement to do some things.
So the mob can be positive?
At times. At times. Right way. At times, the wrong way. At times, nothing is even happening anywhere, but the government will act because social media is shouting. See, you remember the case of this popular young musician that died a few years ago in Lagos? This young guy that died in Lagos. Mohbad, thank you. Mohbad. You know, as we speak, over 2 years, the guy is still in the morgue. And what's the truth of the matter up to today? We are unable to get the truth of the matter. The Sam Larry, the Naira Marley accused, they were all being absorbed of any wrongdoing because they were never there in the first place when he died. But the social media mob linked them to the death and government acted, no, rightly then, to avoid chaos, violence. But at the end of the day, nothing came out of it. Then the family wahala entered it. The father, the wife of the deceased singer, you know, the in-laws, everything muddled up the whole case. As we speak, the young guy is still in the morgue. Why? Over 2 years. A young guy, less than 30-year-old. So what have you achieved? The social media mob. Government even seem helpless in the matter. Whether police or the Lagos State government, I don't know who is even in charge now. They seem helpless now. Because I know it's one thing that is still preventing the final burial of the young man. After over 2 years. What are we talking about? It's unfortunate.
So what can be done to ensure that the positive sides are retained and the negative discourse is contained to some extent?
We have to do away with sentiments, emotions, social media mob mentality. When issues happen, let's look at the merits of the matter. Let's get to the bottom of the matter. Let's allow law enforcement, relevant law enforcement agency to carry out its investigation, get to the root of the matter. Then let's indict the culprits. Let them face the law. And let them face the music, if possible. That's all. Not shouting. Not whitewashing anybody. Not image laundry. Not speculation. And not character assassination because of politics. No. It will take us nowhere.
Well, hopefully this is applied more often.
Exactly.
Now, lastly, we come back to the fake agency. This topic has been trending for weeks now, with a lot of back and forth between the accused, the government, and the public also chipping in. Now, the latest on the topic is that it has been found that the agency not only is sanctioned by CBN, but may have also links to international financial agencies. What do you think about the progress of the matter so far?
Well, for me, you know, interestingly, all the matters we brought up today, murder, death, rape, and then this issue of fake agency, they have a link. Unfortunately, they are not related. The matters are not related, but there is a link.
Could you outline that for us?
Among all of them, the mob mentality. It's all about Nigeria shouting, taking side. Instead of seeking for the truth, everyone is shouting based on political consideration, sentiment. Now, you're asking about the progress of the matter. What progress are we talking about? We can only sit back and watch because the president had directed the ICPC to probe the matter and get back to him in 30 days, Abi. This is just 1 week now after that declaration. Even though I don't know how ICPC will probe and get back to the president because one of the persons at the center of the scandal had been indicted by the police already and is standing trial in the court of law. So look at another contradiction. Here is the president telling the ICPC, probe this matter. If you are saying someone should probe a matter, that means you don't have the facts. You don't know what has happened. but you are interested in knowing what transpired, who and who is involved, then how do we serve justice? That's on one hand. On the other hand, a lead security agency, the Nigerian police, had indicted someone. That person is already standing trial. And luckily, after the cat and mouse game, the person was arrested about a few days ago. Yesterday, we saw the video of the person laughing and smiling, walking towards the private jet to be flown to Abuja from Ibadan. So, the contradictions. The person does not appear like a suspect again. We don't even know what we are into.
Now, this apparent preferential treatment has actually increased the public's opinion.
Is it a preferential treatment?
Well, would you say that a private jet would be
Was that a special treatment? I don't know. Maybe they would do anybody like that, maybe. I don't know.
You feel so?
Preferential. Whether the person is stealing a fowl or chicken, maybe they will do. Maybe they will also ask the person to fly private jet from Ibadan to Lagos, Abi to Abuja. But if you call it preferential, probably it appears so. Let's take it that way.
And this linked with some other pieces of evidence that have come out, for instance, alleged phone calls between the accused and some powerful officials. Would you say that any of this points to the fact that this linked crime was a lot larger than it's being made out to be?
Of course not. Of course. Ordinarily, you should ask yourself, how will somebody secure office accommodation in Federal Secretariat, Abuja? No Secretariat. Secured office accommodation, how? Who granted the permission? Who provided the keys to the rooms, to the office building? So you call that person a mere con artist? So there are other things actually that were still within the realm of fake news. That he got a 1.3 billion budget reallocation, all those things. We don't even know whether they are true or not, even though the Senate had outrightly rejected a motion to probe the matter because they said the president had already directed ICPC to probe. But in the middle of investigation, police is already prosecuting one of the major actors. So I don't know how you can tie the knots together and get the truth.
If the matter is so clear-cut, why do you think that the government insists that there are no affiliations with it?
Yeah, the government is saying, well, it's one of us that actually raised the alarm. That it was the chief of staff to the president, Bode Gbadebo, who raised alarm about the existence of that fake agency and the guy paraded himself as the DG. So he was the one who wrote to the police or DSS to probe the matter. So he can be an accomplice because he raised the alarm. So at the same time, and the person at the center is saying, no, he was an accomplice, I related with him, I gave him money, all those things. You know? So I don't know. So if you want to probe, true or false, you still have to call the person accused of receiving money. But the person now is listed as a witness in the police case. A contradiction of some sort. But I will tell you something. We may never get something out of it. Silently with time, you know, time heals every wound. Time is the healer. So with time, the matter will just disappear from the radar.
Would you say that?
And another bigger one will happen. Then you keep remembering the latest one in your mind. Then you forget about this one.
How do we ensure that these issues do not get swept under the rug as new ones emerge?
I don't have that power. I'm not in government. I don't have that power.
Now, how do you propose that government ensures this and that the public also holds them accountable?
Probably if we continue the advocacy on social media, it may not be able to, you know, get swept under the carpet. But then, when I say advocacy on social media, I'm not talking about the social media mob mentality of just crucifying people, reaching conclusion, sentiments for political reasons. No. Advocacy, calling for accountability, transparency is a different thing from the mob mentality of crucifying people, character assassination. That's very clear.
Now, Adeyemi is expected to appear in court on September the 30th. What should we expect from this trial based on how facts have played out so far?
Probably it might be remanded and the trial will continue. And if anyone is remanded, I don't know how you can make him available for another probe somewhere again, which the president is interested in. Probably you go to his detention facility to obtain statements from him. And I don't know what will be the condition of such statement. A statement you'll be obtaining from a suspect in detention. I don't know whether it qualifies as voluntary statement or a statement under duress. So, I don't know. A lot of questions begging for answers.
Well, I suppose it remains to be seen how things play out.
Exactly.
Now, do you have any predictions for us based on the stories that we've covered today on how things might play out?
Well, the Mary Abila matter, I believe will remain a dominant news for the next 1 week again because of the amount of interest generated by netizens on social media. So we pray we get to the root of the matter. Then the fake DG issue is not, it's not new again. Now that he has been arrested, number one, you won't get to see him talking again because he's under detention. He's in detention. So you may get to see less of that matter slowly. But for Mary Abila, at least for the next 1 week, it will be visible again.
Thank you, sir, for joining us for this conversation.
It's my pleasure as usual. Thank you for having me.
As we wrap up today's edition of Analyst Conversation, we'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Bode Gbadebo, for sharing his valuable insights and analysis on these important national issues. Thank you as well to you, our viewers, for joining us. Don't forget to follow us across our social media platforms and subscribe for more thoughtful discussions and in-depth analysis on the stories that matter the most. I'm your host, Jemima Diamond Dean, wishing you a wonderful day. See you next time on Analyst Conversation.